Pearce with a certainty to be named to the New South Wales squad this morning, and his combination with Andrew Johns was too much for the Melbourne Storm in the first half on Saturday night up there in Newcastle as they racked up a scoreline. At one stage got to 44 points to nil before the Storm came back with a rush of tries as they can.
Yeah, Andrew Johns' game was fantastic for the Newcastle side, but I've got to say they haven't been missing Matt Parsons in the first couple of weeks. He was outstanding. When he takes the ball forward, he just provides that good go forward. He's also got an offload to provide a bit of second phase play. And the way they were playing on Saturday, the big lateral game, the long passes from Johns, it's pretty to watch.
Of course, the New South Wales coach had made mention of the New South Wales halfback in their column on Sunday morning. It might have inspired Andrew Johns perhaps a couple of phone calls during the week because he had a great kicking game and he peppered Marcus by with some high balls, didn't he?
Yeah, look, he's got everything, Joe. We know how good a player he is, and he brought it all out on Saturday night against the Storm. Look, 44-0, the Storm did score some late tries, but Newcastle won the game. They totally outplayed Melbourne when it mattered, and as Laurie said, they have been doing it tough for injuries, the Knights, but it was great to see Parsons, Tahu and Mark Hughes make a comeback for them.
One thing about Newcastle, even though they do get a lot of injury problems, is the depth and the young fellows that they produce. Every season they will produce one or two young guys.
Like the Broncos.
Yeah, they just come through.
Well, they have to, because they haven't bought a player for the last couple of seasons because of salary cap restrictions, and they've just got these young kids that keep coming up and stand up when the experienced players drop out.
And they always step into the mark straight away.
Yeah. You spoke about Matt Parsons. He made such a difference to this Newcastle side, and unlucky, as I said earlier on, not to be named in the New South Wales squad. There's still plenty of time for him to work his way into a bit of fitness and form and prove that he can be there perhaps for the Blues.
Yeah, he wouldn't look out of place in the New South Wales jumper. Matt Parsons certainly got a presence about him. He's a big man. But you get back to the fact the guys that we selected all deserve to be there. You look at Michael Vella, he's another one played last year that's unlucky to be there, but there's still plenty of weeks before the first state of origin, and I'm sure those guys, if they continue their form, which they've been showing over the last couple of weeks, their names will get mentioned again.
Here's what Matt Parsons had to say after the game in his comeback game from injury.
I don't think the last 20 minutes was good enough for any team while I was at us at home. I don't think that was acceptable, but we can't just dwell on the negatives there. The first 60 minutes was very positive, and yeah, I think there's still a little bit of a numb feeling and a disappointment at that last 20, but we came in, we've got the win, and we'll go away, and we don't for 1 minute think that we're on the Bulldogs space for next Friday night at the moment, and we've got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of work to do this week, that's for sure.
And how is that for a game next week? The Bulldogs, I'm sure, will see plenty of this man doing this, charging forward, dragging players with him. Stephen Kearney and Scotty Kearns on his back there, not a couple of wide weights, and he was able to get away with plenty of offloads as well.
Yeah, he was fantastic on Saturday, Matt Parsons. I think he was playing down Newcastle's chances. I think there was a lot to like about Newcastle's game, especially in that first 40 minutes. And of course, they get Simpson and Kennedy back, two of the best back rowers in the game. They'll be pumped up, don't worry about that, to take on the Bulldogs. I expect them to be playing down their chances all week, but expect a fiery performance.
Yeah, he had so much to decide, Matt Parsons. Certainly, when you got young blokes Perry and Woolnow and packing down the front row, if you got Matt Parsons there looking after him, it certainly helps.
Tamana Tahu might have had a bad game against the Roosters in round 2, but Melbourne were reminded of just how good he is, and early in and away on Semi Tadjalala, who was showing what it is like in the big time for real this time around.
I couldn't believe that Roosters game when he dropped those footballs, because as I mentioned before, when I was involved with him in the State of Origin, he's just got terrific hands. He catches the football everywhere, as he did just then. And it was just one of those nights for him. I think he dropped the ball 6 or 7 occasions. He didn't drop one the other night. He scored a couple of tries. The skill level was enormous, and he's a player that we will marvel over in the next few years.
Yeah, brilliant player. And he has been known to make a couple of mistakes in games, and he certainly did last year in the State of Origin. Spilled a couple of balls, but he's one of those guys that you've got to have in your side. He's explosive. He's got brilliant speed, and he can take a high ball, in attack and defence. He can defuse a bomb. He can take the bomb to score a try. He's got it all.
And on the weekend, defensively, he was very strong. He put on a number of good hits that just stopped the Storm runners in their tracks.
Yeah, as we saw, knocking out Semi Tadjalala across the sideline on one occasion from a Melbourne scrum win. Now, Craig Bellamy was asked about the form of boom youngster Billy Slater after the game, with one journo biting off more than he could chew when he offered the opinion that Slater perhaps has fallen back to earth.
If you want me to pull Billy Slater down from his pedestal, don't. You guys put him up there. He's a young kid. He's played 3 first grade games. He played in a different position today than he's been playing. And I thought he was pretty good for us. He can hold a couple of errors, but I'd say he's played first grade games, and he's certainly got a future in our game. So if you want me to put him down, I ain't gonna. Come to Newcastle after they've been beaten 2 in a row isn't any Sunday afternoon walk, and they found that out today. But I thought Billy, completed to the end, and I would say, he certainly didn't lose any shine in my eyes today from what he did.
It's funny how some people see things after a game. He didn't score a try, Billy Slater, but he didn't make any mistakes that I noticed, and he put that one on there for Marcus By. He's a very good young player.
Oh, look, he's a star of the future, Billy Slater. I think he's a terrific young player, and there's some harsh critics out there. But look, defensively, he did have a few problems early in the game. That's where they really attacked, but it was in the middle that they were losing the battle. They were on their back foot all the time. So he was going back and the Knights were coming at them and playing up there, and the Knights were desperate on the back of 2 losses. They needed the victory. So it was always going to be difficult. And as Craig Bellamy said, any 19-year-old going up there in Newcastle, facing them in those circumstances, is always going to do it tough.
Let's play 3 first grade games.
Yeah.
I think it's a big ask. I think, look, the question might have had to have been asked from the journalists, but
sure.
I thought it was a tough one.
What about the passer?
It was a good one. Get your heart out.
Look, only special players can do those type of things.
All right, now Newcastle don't often lose 3 games in a row, and avoiding that mark might have had them fired up, according to coach Michael Hagan.
I think the boys were cranky about last week, given that we probably had our chances and we were down tidy. So they certainly took that on board, and I think they realised they want to be amongst the top teams, and you've got to work hard to do that. But it also reinforces possession, mate. At the moment, if we complete our 37 after half time, made an error in the next 3, and they generate points, so you can't afford to do that. So.
They certainly can't, and it all builds up to this Friday night's game, an absolute cracker at Newcastle between the Dogs and the Knights.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to tip a winner at this stage, depending on what sides they do come up with. Look, the Bulldogs were fantastic on Friday night, as were the Newcastle side against the Storm in that first 40.
You might get your golden point after all.
Well, I'm after one.
I would call it that. So do I. I want to be the first golden point game.